again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Browns Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, but you can call me Grizzer, and this is where we get you caught up on some of the latest news and the tidbits that are tied to our favorite team in the NFL. That is, of course, the Cleveland Browns, and then we give you our take on the news along the way. Thank you to everyone who has liked our previous episodes. Hopefully, this one makes the list. Also, thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel already. We are so close to 14,000 subscribers. When we get there, we will give the Orange Quarter Zip a rest for just one show. That's how we celebrate when we reach a threshold on subscribers here on this show. Even though I know how much you love the Orange Quarter Zip, we do give it a day off from time to time. And it's always when we cross a threshold on subscribers. So if we can get to 14,000, we can get the Orange Quarter Zip a day off. And thank you to everyone who has gotten their comments down there in that viewer comment section, because it is such a big part of our little show. Now, speaking of today's show, David Njoku is leaving Cleveland. But I have one question before he goes. And while this is all going on, Shedeur Sanders gets a vote of confidence from a key member of the Cleveland Browns team. After watching the Super Bowl, it became apparent that one position may matter most when it comes to lifting the Lombardi next year. Speaking of the Super Bowl, you better keep your schedule clear if you're a Browns fan. And in the viewer comments, why we shouldn't be afraid of drafting someone for the defense at pick number 6. Oh, okay. All right. Well, there you go. Well, but out of the gate today, David Njoku pens a heartfelt message to Cleveland and says he will be leaving. He will be leaving the city of champions, the greatest city in the United States, on the shores of the beautiful Lake Erie. David Njoku is peacing out. Now, this is the worst kept secret in at least for me. I've been telling you since training camp he was done here. They were never going to sign him, but he's been around since 2017. We got him out of Miami. Here, I will show you. Everybody get your Kleenex ready, okay? Because here's the heartfelt message. Of course, he loves us. I mean, he never said disparaging, things about Cleveland. He was a good soldier, man. These 9 years have been a beautiful journey. I'm so grateful for all the memories. Thank you to the Haslams, Andrew Berry, and the whole Browns organization for everything. All of my teammates, I shared the battle, and I'm so grateful for you guys. The time for me to find a new home has come, and all I can think of is just the gratefulness in my heart. The city of Cleveland will forever be home. Now, hopefully where he's going, they sell shirts, because he never, ever wore a shirt while he was here in Cleveland. I mean, he may not have any, as far as I know. I'm not sure. But hopefully, where he's going, they do have shirts, and he can pick up a few. Here's my question. My one question before he leaves. Why didn't we trade him at the trade deadline? Remember, go back and look at my shows from the trade deadline. Well, go back to training camp, when I've been telling you we were never, ever, ever going to re-sign David Njoku because he's older. We just mentioned it the other day. There was no way we were ever, ever going to re-sign David Njoku. And why we didn't trade him at the deadline makes absolutely no sense to me. And so the good news is we'll get somebody. It'll be, if now that opens the door for likely, because we just mentioned it. I just talked about this yesterday. We could get likely. His projected value is about $1 million less than Njoku, and likely is 4 years younger than Njoku. So sign me up for Isaiah Likely all day. Let's get him in here. This is, I mean, I'm sorry. Njoku was fine, but for anybody who's new to the Browns, he dropped so many easy passes. I would say, 7-8 years of his career. Last year, he didn't do much, but oh my gosh, he would always make the circus catch and always drop the easy ones. And so, he had to work hard to become a better blocker, and he did. He worked hard, and he showed up, and And I'm not going to sit here but it's business, man. It's nothing personal. It's business. And I knew we were never, ever going to sign him. I would have traded him at the deadline. I was screaming up and down for it because at least we could have gotten something for him. But instead, now he walks away. Now, hopefully, we'll get a little less expensive tight end. Isaiah Likely. Who's better? Isaiah Likely. More athletic? Isaiah Likely. Who could you could actually use as a wide receiver too? Isaiah Likely. Please, let's get this done. Let's get Linderbaum and Likely over here now. Let's get L squared here as fast as we can now that Njoku's gone. Now, here's where I'm going to tell you. My money, Njoku will be in Atlanta. When March 9th gets here, he'll be back with Kevin in Atlanta. 100%. That conversation has already happened. That's why he's doing this. David Njoku. If there's prediction markets or something, I gotta go look. Guarantee you, take that. I am that to me is the lock of the century. I would be shocked if he does not end up in Atlanta with Kevin. So, and then hopefully Dylan's next. Now. I'm just saying. He'll be in Atlanta. He'll be going to Atlanta because I think Pitts is piecing out of there. I think Pitts is going to get a big contract from somebody somewhere. And so they're going to need somebody. And so he'll go and, Kevin likes him. So he likes quarterbacks who can't throw and tight ends who can't catch. So send Dylan Gabriel down there and then it'll be Kevin. It'll be Kevin heaven. There you go. All right. Now, speaking of heaven, I was in heaven because Miles, he was very nice. He said nice things about us this year on Radio Row was completely different than last year. He played very nice down there at the Super Bowl. And what I thought was great was when he was on Micah Parsons' panel or podcast or whatever. I don't know, whatever you call it. I don't know. I don't even know what you call this. What do you call this show? Is this a podcast? I don't know. But he was asked about Shedeur Sanders. And everybody was like, oh, boy, here we go. But he gave him a vote of confidence. Here's what he said. He said, that's who we're looking at as the guy. That's what Garrett said. He said, we're going to give him a shot to prove that he is the guy. We're not going to give anyone that title until they go out there and earn it. Makes sense. He was the last person on the field, and he showed some flashes, so we're going to give him an opportunity to show what he can really do. Uncork the ball. I love it. That's the kind of positive vibe we need from our leader on defense. And here's what makes me insane. When you look around, so many people have taken this Miles quote and, of course, turned it into a negative thing. They're like, oh, look at what he's saying. He's saying that he's not really the quarterback. I'm like, oh, my God. Can we not ever just turn anything, like everything has to be negative, especially when it comes to Shedeur. Everybody wants it to be a controversy with Shedeur, and it's not. This is your leader on defense saying that's who we're looking at as the guy. Let me translate for you. He's our quarterback one until further notice. I'll translate that for you. For all the haters who can't read English, that's what he's saying. He's saying we're going to give him a shot to prove that he is the guy. He goes, we're going to give him an opportunity to show what he can really do. Uncork the ball. What is he? Let me translate that for you. We're gonna give him the opportunity to show what he can really do. Uncork the ball. Translation: Kevin Stefanski's offense is terrible. He would take our quarterbacks and tie their arms to their sides so they could not throw the ball down the field. He did not want any quarterback throwing the ball down the field, and that's why he kept sticking Dylan Gabriel in there, who threw 4-yard passes. He did not want Shedeur to go in there and start throwing balls down the field and stretching the defense like you saw with Bond and some of these other passes that he threw. Kevin Stefanski did not want that because he would have showed his boy up. And, Stefanski's gone, Gabriel stinks, and Shedeur's our guy. That is what Myles Garrett is saying. That to me that is exactly what we need from our defensive leader, the all-time sack leader, everything, man. And I'll tell you what, I thought Shedeur, and I mentioned this the other day, I thought he did a great job out there too on Radio Row and just some of the things he said. And I thought one of the interesting things that he said, and I can't remember the exact wording, but he basically admitted that he's more mindful of some of the things that he's putting out there on social media and things, because he sees this. He sees how people, the haters, love to take anything that he puts out there and turn it into a negative. And so now he's being more careful about it. At least that's the way I read it. And I thought that is a sign of maturity. That's a sign of him, growing up. That's the sign of a leader. And so I went on my rampage yesterday about everybody needing to lean into Shedeur and just look at this from a glass half full perspective. And so, Myles Garrett, I'm with you, man. Thank you so much. That's what we need. That's the Myles that we love right there, baby. And so that's what you need out of your team leaders. You need him to support your QB1, and that's what he did. And so he said he's the guy. He is the guy, and he's going to get a chance to do what Kevin didn't let him do: uncork the football. So because Myles is in on all these conversations with Monken and Barry and Haslam. I mean, he's a quasi coach at this point, Myles. He's involved in the decision making. Trust me. And so for him, when you're asking Myles a question, you're asking essentially one of the coaches. That's the kind of clout Myles has on this team now. And so for him to say that tells you everything you need to know about what their thinking is on Shedeur Sanders. He's our QB1, and he's going to get a chance to let it rip finally under the tutelage of Todd Monken. Now, one of the things that was noticeable in the Super Bowl was the play of the defensive line of the Seattle Seahawks and the offensive line of the New England Patriots. Now, remember, we told you they had a lot of young people on that offensive line. Did New England. And so they had an easy schedule. There are a lot of things, but the bottom line is I'm not going to hate on them because they made it to the Super Bowl. Bottom line, they won a lot of games during the regular season. They won that crazy game in Denver in the AFC Championship in the snow, and got it done. Vrabel coached his butt off. Like, I am not going to sit here and hate on him, but it goes to show you how important it is to have an offensive line. And here, I'm going to take you down a little road here, because here is this is what got me thinking about this. It was actually a tweet from one of my favorite reporters, Daniel Oifusi, who said, football is an amazing sport. He tweeted this out not long after the Super Bowl ended. He said, football is an amazing sport because we talk about a million things all year, and then it really boils down to, do you have men in the trenches or not? And he's not wrong. And so I looked it up. I'm like, okay, well, let's research this a little bit. How important is a good offensive line or a good defensive line when it comes to winning the Super Bowl? How important is it? Is it the most important thing? And so did a little research, and here's what I found. Now this is using Pro Football Focus grades, and we're going back to 2012. So there's your context. That's what we're using here for our our takes, for our bullet points. But PFF grades since around 2012 show Super Bowl winners typically have a solid to good offensive line. They average around the top 12 in the rankings. So that's average. So we're talking teams could be as high as 1, low as 20, but the average is 12. But to reach and win the Super Bowl, teams usually need at least a top 11 offensive line on average. So you need one. You need a top 11, I'll say top 10 offensive line if you want to get there and win the Super Bowl. Now, while dominant offensive and defensive lines provide a major edge, reducing sacks, pressures, and enabling explosive plays, they're not a guarantee or absolute necessity for Super Bowl success. A top-tier offensive line is more consistently linked to winners in recent data than a top defensive line. And Seattle had a great defensive line. We have a great defensive line. If New England's offensive, look at Seattle. New England, they were getting pressure on down, but Seattle's offensive line was just a little bit better, right, in that game, and they end up winning, And so I agree with that. A top-tier offensive line is more consistently linked to winners in recent data than a top defensive line, reflecting the NFL's offensive evolution. Teams with strong trenches are frequent contenders, but elite quarterback play. Okay, here we go. We got to come back on camera for this because remember, top-tier offensive line consistently linked to winners in recent data in the Super Bowl compared to defensive line. But although teams with strong trenches are frequent contenders, elite quarterback play, coaching, and balance often matter more overall. You got to have a quarterback. You got to have a coach. If you don't have those two things, it doesn't matter what your offensive line's doing because you're not going to get there. And so, it is extremely important. And so that's why this draft and this offseason is so important. And I feel, I'm sorry, I don't want to keep harping on, the offensive line thing, but it's a thing, man. Our offensive line was historically bad, and it's going to be so much better with what we're going to do here in free agency and then in the draft. It's going to get a lot younger and a lot better. And so, we're going to take those steps, man. I'm telling you, we're going worst to first. We just watched New England do it. We are going to do exactly what New England did. We are going to go worst to first, and we will be in the Super Bowl. Now, if you don't believe me, you have to believe this because they've already leaked the script. The script is out, baby. They've already decided the lot of teams that have a chance to win the Super Bowl. And you're like, Dave, how? What? Is there a crystal ball? Did they go to the prediction pen? Was there how did they know? Well, here's how. The logo, it's out. Take a look. It's got orange in it. And it's got blue or purplish in it. So here are your teams that have a chance to win the Super Bowl next year based on the logo. This is a thing. People always look at this logo, man. And there we are. It's either going to be us, the Bears, or the Bengals. And then the Rams, the Colts, or the Ravens. So it's the Browns and the Rams are going to be we're either going to be playing Chicago or the Rams in the Super Bowl next year. So the Rams Stafford said he's coming back. So they will absolutely be a contender. Seattle, that whole thing's going to fall apart. They're selling the team and Kubiak's gone and they're going to go through they're going to take a step back. They threw it all at everything this year and it worked. They got it done. They got the Super Bowl that they were looking for. The Bears, I don't know. Can they take that next step? So it's going to be the Browns and the Rams in the Super Bowl next year. I told you, make sure your schedule is clear because it has been decided. The Browns are in based on the logo. So I'll tell you, the logo, if we're not in the Super Bowl, look at this year's logo. It had the Rams colors. And the Rams almost made it. I'm just saying, man. Weird. Hey, look at the prediction pen. The prediction pen seems to know things. I'm just saying, man, this logo thing is a thing, and it's orange. So we will be there. I'm telling you. Clear your schedule. So look for the VRBOs or the Airbnbs or whatever. Where is the Super Bowl next year? We gotta start making plans. I gotta get a hold of Radio Row. We'll be doing the show from Radio Row. I already told Fan Arts we're going to the Super Bowl next year. So I don't know. Logo says we're going. So I have to believe the logo. Now, the other thing I always believe in are the viewer comments. And we'll start today with Jerridge 78. It's Jerrej 78. It wants to be Jerry or some version of it, but it's Jerridge 78 who says, so you believe in devaluing players based on age despite performance. Now, he's talking about Joel Bitonio. When I said, look, Joel Bitonio is going to be 35 by the end of this season, and we were lucky to get what we got out of him last year. He did play pretty well, but he was already talking about retiring, and, you're not going to, but we'll get to that in a second. So Jared says, so you believe in devaluing players based on age despite performance. If we had Trent Williams at left tackle, and you would want to get rid of him because he's 37 and still playing at a high level. The reason I ask is because Bitonio is washed, but I think Teller has a few years left. Also, Peyton threw 28 picks. Okay, what? Okay. All right, thanks for coaching me up. But we know Peyton threw a lot of picks in his rookie year. But I never said I wanted to get rid of Teller. I'm saying Teller he's in his 30s. He's going to be 31 by the end of the thing. But I don't devalue players based on age. What I do is I look at the cap and what makes the most sense. Are you going to pay an aging veteran a bag when you could go out and get a free agent who's 5 years younger for at or a little bit less than the same price? That's what I'm saying. And with Teller, I never said we should get rid of Teller. What I'm saying is they're going to have to look at the numbers and see if the numbers work. And his age is a factor. I mean, he is a little bit older, but we're going to keep some of these guys, these experienced guys around. And Teller's on that list, whether it's Teller, Tev Jenkins. I don't think they're signing Pochik. I think if you're Pochik is, well, he'll want too much money. And if you're going to spend money, you're going to go get Lindenbaum because he's just better. So that's what I'm saying. It's going to depend on how this shakes out. But Teller would be fine for the right price. I mean, but if, fair market value, that's the thing I need to do. I need to look into the Browns free agents and see what fair market value is for some of these guys and see. But no, I'm not saying we should get rid of Teller because he's 30 or 31, whatever he is. Bitonio, yeah. I mean, there's not going to be much left in the tank for Bitonio. But, he was pretty solid last year. But I'm not giving these guys a bag. I'm not giving these guys a bag. You don't give these guys a bag. You give the guys who are 5 years younger and hitting their prime now a bag. So Howard Bates -D3K says there are some very good guards in the draft as well. Yeah, there are. That's what I'm saying. Like, we don't need to waste money on Wyatt Teller, and we could get an outstanding guy in the draft and put him on a rookie contract for the next 5 years. I mean, that's the logical way. You always have to start with the money. It's the wire. Follow the money. Great handle. Ref Ducky. I love it. I'm guessing he's a ref. I don't know what he refs. Do you ref basketball, football? What are you reffing? Ref Ducky. Love it. Remember the movie, it's not Pretty in Pink. Remember Pretty in Pink? The dude Ducky? Man, that guy drove me crazy in that movie. I really like that movie, but I want to like Ducky, but I also want to punch him in the throat. He was so annoying. He kept getting in Molly Ringwald's way. She's trying to, talk to Andrew McCarthy, and he gets. But the best scene in that movie is when he's dancing to "Try a Little Tenderness." Ducky's dancing around the record shop. "Try a Little Tenderness." That's a great song, great version. And Ducky did a nice job with that. That's the guy who was on that. Now I don't know what he's on now, but he was on that. What the heck was that show? Not that 70s. One of those shows. I don't know. I don't really watch shows. But yeah, that guy. Anyway, Ref Ducky. Maybe it is Ducky. Maybe it's the actual Ducky from the movie Pretty in Pink. He says, why not Teller? He's not that old, and they took him out late, so he wasn't part of that bad offensive line late in the season. I'm not saying not. Okay, Ducky, I'm not saying not Teller. I'm saying the numbers have to be right. I'm saying we will keep some of the guys we have. And Teller is on my list. Teller, Tev Jenkins is on that list. After that, there's not much. I mean, Zinter might stick around, maybe. I mean, he's still under contract. So that's what you have to look at. This offensive line is going to be completely revamped, man. With Warhop and Monken, man, they know how to build an offensive line. So nobody's job is safe. But I think, for the right price, Teller can stay 100%. If Warhop likes him. TZ6039 says, Caden Proctor, left tackle, Alabama, 6'7", 340, athletic, ran the ball in Wildcat options. I think the new offensive line coach, George Warhop, can regulate his weight and turn him into a Pro Bowler. Cool personality, NFL connections. I think he is worthy of the 6th pick pick this year for Shador on that left side. Well, TZ, I am with you. And the greatest talent evaluator that we all know, Thraso Vulu, loves Caden Proctor at left tackle. And now here's the good news. You may not have to take him at 6 because they're projecting him down there around 24. So we might be able to get him at 24. And this is why I would not hate the idea of if Carnell Tate is gone, and let's say Downs is gone too, and you get the 6, if we could trade back a little bit and pick up an extra pick, this is the 1 year I'd say I'd probably be okay with that, because then I think you're still going to be able to get your Proctor. You're going to be able to get your Denzel Boston. You'll be able to get the Iowa guy or the Penn State guard or one of the other left tackle, Lomu or Fano. I don't think is going to make it out of the top 10. But you can end up with Proctor and Lomu, although they're both left tackles. That wouldn't work because Fano is the right tackle. But you know what I'm getting at. That would set us up to really address the offensive line while getting our wide receiver 1. For me, this draft is all about getting that wide receiver 1. I think we got enough guys to fill in the rest of the slots with Bond and Judy, and if we sign a Dobbs, or especially an Alec Pierce, if we do that, our wide receiver room is looking a heck of a lot better, and we're only using 1 draft pick on it. But it's got to be wide receiver 1. That's the only thing, TZ. Got to get wide receiver 1 at 6. Hope 4-G5I. Nope. Offensive line normally takes 3 years to develop in the NFL game. When the player is ready, due to 3 years of experience, they are free agents. Now, the rookie contracts are 5 years. Build your lines through free agents using other teams' resources and then time to train them up. The draft should be best player available, especially if the safety Downs is there in round 1. Well, the only place Downs is going to be available to us unless we trade back. I mean, I don't think he's getting out of the top 10. But it would be at 6. That's what I'm saying. If you have your guys that you target and in those first 5 picks, they're gone, that's where you're going to have to pivot and potentially take a Caleb Downs. And I do, you know what? I'm with you, Hope, on the offensive linemen needing a little time to development. And you kind of saw that with New England in the Super Bowl. The 2 rookies on the left side, especially that left tackle, they struggled a little bit in that game. Everything was ramped up, man. Everything is ramped up in the Super Bowl. And now that they've gone through it, man, can you imagine how good New England's offensive line is going to be like, in the next 2-3 years? Oh my gosh. For them to get that kind of experience as rookies. So I think their learning curve really sped up. But no, I think you're right about that, Hope. They do need a little bit of time to develop. Now, speaking of the greatest talent evaluator that we all know, Thraso Vulu, he makes a great point about pick 6, meaning our pick number 6 in the draft. He says, so my take on the Super Bowl is don't be afraid to draft defense at 6 because the Seahawks offense was okay, nothing crazy, good, but the defense was amazing at all 3 levels. He said, we have very similar skill players everywhere, but wide receiver, O-line can be built quickly just like the Pats did. That's why I say 2 players I have a hard time passing on in the draft are Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Love. Those guys can affect the game substantially. And so that's why I'm saying Caleb Downs, plus Downs could return punts for us too. So that's why the only, if it's not wide receiver or offensive line, for me at 6, it's Downs. That's it. And Thraso agrees. That defense was great. That defense was great. And we will end today with Elucidate C. Marie, who says, hey, Grizzer, time to switch Cam Robinson, Joe Antonio, and Conklin from the O-line to the unemployment line. Well, I think there's Cam Robinson for sure, Conklin for sure. Batonio, there's like about a 5% chance I think that he'll be back. But I think you're going to get your wish. Elucidate. I think you will get your wish, C. Marie, for sure. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. We're still on DC. Why? They're interviewing DCs like they're going out of style. I mean, this is as bad as the head coaching search. They got so many people they're interviewing for the DC job. But they did talk to my guy Tarver, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, thanks for joining us. Go Browns! We'll see you next time.